God's response was just more than I could understand at the moment. He said it was neither good nor bad in the grander sense. It was a lesson for your learning. I could recall not only what it felt like, but how I was thinking.
And when I would concentrate on one, I would immediately be there. I would be reliving what I had lived, and I would remember the reliving. And then I would think about another area, and then I'd pop into another movie. And I would do this for some period of time, but
it was pictures from my past. And it wasn't just a photograph, it was a 3D image.
And the light was viewing me. The light knew everything that I ever thought, did, or will do. It knew everything. And the light welcomed me. And the light said, "Andy, don't be afraid." And I was impressed. I mean, the light knew me and called me by my name. Called me Andy. Oh, that was pretty good. And then the light said, "Andy, I love you." And then the light said, "Andy, we love you."
And recalling exactly how others were feeling because of the way I was behaving.
The light has a fantastic sense of humor. We would view some of the really silly things that I did in my lifetime, and we'd be laughing at how serious I took them. Because life down here is an illusion. It's a game. Don't take it so serious.
That total acceptance, that total... I wouldn't have to change anything about me or be anything else because I was loved for exactly who I was.
God waved to me with his right hand, and with his left hand was patting his left knee, saying, "Come on."
I kind of melted in its lap and merged with it.
The next thing I knew, I was standing in the middle of a circle of these 12-foot beings of light.
This being was also contained perfect knowledge, how everything works, perfect justice, and compassion.
They were pretty intimidating, but not really, because they felt more like family than the people I had seen.
And this being, I'll just say he, because we usually use the male pronoun, but this was not, you know, a male figure, unlike the angel, was just loving me, just sending this perfect unconditional love, to knowing that everything about me and just loving me just the same.
And in an instant, I was in his lap with his arms around me, gazing up into his face as he was looking down into my eyes.
I got into this telepathic discussion with a being of light, and all of your thoughts go out instantly, telepathically, and the answers come back perfectly clearly, more perfect than we can express things in words, because the entire picture is presented with all of its ramifications.
All the judgments, all the anxiety of this world just melted off of me like butter on a hot counter.
And as the light said to me, "Andy, we love you," in back of the light were billions and billions and billions of other lights. And all of them knew me. And they all said in a giant chorus, "Welcome home, Andy." And I said out loud, "I'm home. At last I'm home."
And by its side was a kind of male being who was like a protector. And that protector was saying, "You're completely safe."
I was safe. I was home.
This being of light took me on a tour of the universe, just at the speed of thought. Einstein's law did not apply there. It was just possible to travel from one celestial object to another. Stars coming into being, stars dying out, all of the beautiful objects, galaxies, comets, planets, all of these things, I just saw them as just beautiful, radiant, alive, and so magnificent. There was no darkness. Nowhere that I looked was there any darkness, like the way we see space. Everything was filled with its own internal light.
And pretty soon I found myself out in the universe. It was full of stars and galaxies, and it was just the most glorious, gorgeous thing that you can possibly imagine. And you know what? It seemed familiar.
And then we went to this one star that seemed to be the center of all things. And we went into the center of this star where there was fire all around. But of course I wasn't afraid because I was completely loved and protected. And I wasn't in a body. I was sort of in the hands of God. And so we went through the center of the star, and at that point we went into another dimension where there were no more objects at all. There was no more light. There was just the fullness of the presence, of the potential of all the worlds that ever will be created. And it was like going back into what is called the night of Brahman, the time of being before the creation. And here I just melted into the most perfect unconditional love, in a bliss that is beyond words, beyond anything we could ever experience here.
And the light welcomed me. The light absorbed me into the light. So I was part of the light. And once I was in the light, I knew everything the light knew. I knew all about the universe. I knew everything about flowers, about plants, about asteroids, about suns, about novas, everything. I didn't have a question for the light. Why? Because I know all the answers.
I had this being appear for me, before me, and his name was Melchizedek, and I knew that. And when you're in this heavenly space, you know things by thought processes. You know what each other is thinking, and it was simple and natural and wonderful. And he was beautiful. He had big blue eyes. He had a beard, a gray beard. He had like a turban around his head. He was dressed in gold and velvet and green, and he was gorgeous, and I felt like I knew him forever.
The life has a wonderful sense of humor. And we're laughing and we're talking, we're just having a great time, and then the light says to me, Andy, you have to go back. Now, I'm not going back. I said to the light, I don't think so. I'm home. I'm staying.
I heard a voice say to me, not now, my daughter.
It looked at me and said, now it's time to go.
And I remember saying, I'm not going back there because it's nasty. People are mean. And it's like walking through hip-deep molasses, just trying to get anywhere or do anything. And people are nasty to each other, and it's just bad, and I'm not going back.
I looked into his eyes and I said, well, there's no way I want to leave.
They weren't really arguing. I was just sort of standing there going like this. And they were sort of going, yes, dear, it's all right, dear. You're doing fine. You can do whatever you want.